What is good, Rickies? Today's episode is sponsored by Whataburger. No, I'm kidding. I am having Whataburger, but let's get into the actual intro, Kennedy. Shut up. What is good, Rickies? Welcome back to another episode of The Locker Room. I am your host and your favorite Kansas City girl, Kennedy Bright. And as always, what is said in the locker room stays in the locker room. Get your playbooks ready, guys. We are sipping on Whataburger right now. The white chocolate raspberry. It's limited edition. It's good, but it's not sponsored by. Y'all like quit the BS. Where you been? So today's episode, I want to talk about a few different topics. How toxic Christian TikTok and Christian influencers can be to people's journey when it comes to getting closer to God. As a matter of fact, we're just going to start with that one first. But let me explain to you where I've been, because that goes into my topic about God. In my last podcast episode, I talked to you guys about how I quit being an American Airlines flight attendant. And through that experience, how me and God really grew like our relationship. Like I grew a personal relationship with him. And there's so much that I've discovered over this past year, like with me and God, and how my life has changed when I like really added him to my life. And I've been struggling because I've wanted to find ways to talk to y'all about it, right? The next week, I was like, I'm okay. You put that episode out there. We got to be consistent for the rest of season 3, putting out content, even if you don't have a guest, like it's your podcast. You can have a solo episode and talk about topics that are important to you. So the next week, I prepared to talk about my dating life, things like that. And it just didn't really sit right. Like I couldn't form it. I tried 4 different times to record that episode. And I was like, okay, that one seems to be triggering for whatever reason. It's a struggle. So how about what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some things I've been going through. I have a stalker situation here in Dallas. And I was like, okay, well, like I have a police case going against it and all that. So I was like, so I talked about it and how men have made me so uncomfortable living here and the harassment I get from men when I go out. That also kind of course, made me triggered. And then I was like, well, can I talk about it? Well, I don't know. You got an open case going on. I don't know. So somehow I was mad at Dallas PD, like all this. So I was like, okay, that's not going to work either. Recorded it and edited that episode. It just didn't sit right with me. And something just like, don't upload it. So I didn't. And that's part of me and God. Like I have moments where I kind of like pause and I'll say it like I'm talking to myself, but really I'm talking to him. I'm like, should I do this? And like, I'll get certain feelings that's just like, nah, sit back, don't do it. Like, not even just a podcast, even with replying to people, talking to people, what I'm going to say, popping off at the mouth, like all those things. I've just been having those feelings about different stuff. And I had it then. So I was like, I'm not going to post. I was okay, let's regroup. You're having a rough night. Let's regroup. That day too, I had a sponsorship that was due. I was like, let's regroup and we'll try again next week, a couple days, or just try next week's episode. And that next week, I ended up having COVID. I got caught COVID, I guess, at my job or whatever. And so I was out for the count for like about 2 weeks or so. It was really like a week. And then like, it threw me off. And then I'm trying to catch back up on like my social media content and things like that. So that's to why it's been like 3 weeks since you've now had an episode, even from when I tried to record the episode the week after my last podcast. But I felt like a lot of the push I was having was me trying to find that balance and issue with me wanting to talk about God and still talk about my regular content. And I couldn't figure out where this issue was coming from. And I talked to my dad about it last week. I'm talking to Janae about it. And of course, God hears all my conversations, and I've like kind of talked about it with him. On Monday, I heard like his answer through a podcast I was listening to, and them talking about like Christian influencers and things like that. I'll just use that word for like instance. And I was like, wow, okay, I got it. I got the formula. I figured it out. Then like I was talking to my dad about it and Janae, and it just got confirmed. The issue that I've been having is because I'm like building this personal relationship with God, I've been deeply on like looking at Christian influencers, trying to see like, ooh, what's the way that you add God to your life? And they live into something completely different than what it is that I want to put out here in my life or on social media. So let's get something straight. We're going to do this disclaimer, and this will be the last time that I'm going to have to justify, speak, or prove whatever my Christianity, okay, to anybody or whatever. I grew up a Christian my entire life. Never once wavered, thought of been a Christian my entire life. And that's hard to say now because there's some people who practice religion and not actually their relationship with God. So Christianity, saying you're a Christian, can come off as like bad, I've been a Christian my entire life. I was baptized when I was 6. It was my choice. Okay. I'm sure there's been a lot of like, oh, well, did you rebaptize or whatever? Because no, like 6-year-old Kennedy knew exactly what she was doing. 20 years later, like I look back, that was 1,000% my choice. It was never nothing put into my brain. Like I understood the assignment and I was for it. Okay. So I was baptized like when I was 6. Like I said, I've had a relationship with my life with God the whole life. Went to church on Sundays. And then on Wednesdays, we had youth group, which is my favorite day of the week. I've always had a relationship with God, as in like I've known who he is. I've had like always listened to my music. It's just at this phase in my life, he and I's relationship has gotten really stronger. And Janaea had put it into great terms. And I'm gonna read what she was saying. Like she helped me put it into words. And I'll read it in a second. But I want to explain like I don't need and that's the issue I've been having. I've been trying to be a part of different groups and different communities around like my faith and things like that. And I'm all for like, and no matter what it is that I'm doing in life, God, school, influencers, sports, whatever, I'm always looking for tips, advice, other ways to do things, whether it's skincare, whatever it is. Like I am so for finding other advice, but that doesn't mean that I go for your advice and you are now telling me like you're better and you got something. No, we're not doing that. And I feel a lot of times in these groups, these communities that I've been trying to be a part of in my Christian, like deepening my Christian relationship. And it's not even let me stop saying Christian, my relationship with God. In trying to do that, I've gotten a lot of like, people basically kind of act like I ain't been doing what I'm doing. Like I'm new to this. And I'm gonna say this, baby, I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. Like me and God, this is not like what he and I have been doing, the life I've lived, my lifestyle has been fine when it comes to he and I. Okay. Because I could change and stop doing everything that is seen as wrong today. He gonna love me the same, whether I'm doing it right or doing it wrong. Okay. So I don't need anything or anyone to tell me how I'm supposed to live my life to have God's love. Now, when me and God get in relationship and he starts showing me certain things, for instance, like one thing I was gonna bring it up later, but I'll bring it up now because it's like at the top of my dome, sex. It's not about God says I shouldn't have sex before marriage. That's not what it's about for me. Me and God, he's been showing me stuff like what sex really means, how sex really makes you feel, like all of those things. And so it's different. It's not about what someone is telling me. It's simply about how God has shown me this is how this makes you feel. When you do this is how that makes you feel. There's a difference. It's just like I'm not going to steal from stores, not because God told me I shouldn't. It's because he's put it in me, not just God, but my parents, everybody. You know, it feels wrong. It feels dirty, but he created me. So that's why I feel that way. It's not about because I'm following a strict, like me and him, and don't get me wrong. Now we're going to follow the commandments and all that. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is the things that I'm doing and changing in my life right now is not because I need to get God his love in the aspect, like he's going to love. I don't need him to say, let me fix it. I'm not doing what I'm doing simply because if I don't do this, God won't love me. That's what I'm trying to say. That's not what it is. I'm changing my life because God's showing me the why behind why he has certain things put in place. Does that make sense? So a lot of people have been acting like you're supposed to do all these things in order to get God's love and approval. God's going to love me regardless. Okay. That's number one. He hurts when I hurt. He don't like that I do things that I'm not supposed to, but he's going to love me regardless. So that's number one. Number two, it's not a bunch of check boxes that I need to have in order to be in like full blown alignment with God. You know, God's not like us humans. Okay. How we have like our standards. This man got to check all these boxes. A woman have to check all these boxes. Like that's not how God operates. Okay. He going to love you regardless and keep praying and hoping that you're going to find him and see things differently. There's a difference. You know, like your parents tell you like, why? Because I said so. God's not like that. Why can't I have sex before marriage, God? Why can't I cheat on my husband or my wife? I'm not married, never been married. I'm just saying, like, if you ask that, like, God's going to show it to you and he's going to tell you why. And it's just crazy because, like, even though, like, yes, a lot of the rules your parents give you have good reasoning. I'm not saying they aren't. But God has, like the only person he's not even a person for real. The only thing in this world that has a pure, full-blown reason as to why you can't do something or whatever, it's going to be God. So he's going to show it to you, right? So I just say that because, like I said, I've just struggled. And I thought, like, going to Christian, like, influencers, vlogs, things like that would help me get more ideas to like build my personal relationship with him, right? That's what I'm thinking. So that's what I was doing, but instead it was making me feel bad. It was making me feel like I was hearing people talk about like, I don't listen to secular music. I only listen to worship music. I only watch TV. And if I watch TV, it's a show about God. I only watch sermons. I'm like, bro, hold up, chill. I'm going to watch my Naruto. I'm going to watch my Real Housewives of Atlanta. What are you talking about? No secular music. I need my Young Boy. Like, what are you saying? Young Boy, Moneybagg Yo. What are we talking about? So I'm getting to this point where I'm hearing people say this and I'm thinking like, oh, have I missed something? Is that somewhere in the Bible? If you do not know, which I meant to mention in my disclaimer, my dad is a minister. He's been a preacher since like a couple years before I was born. But I've always grown up also in my household. I don't have any household or parent trauma when it comes to my relationship with God and all that. My parents didn't say or do things in the name of God. Like, it was not that. You can't wear that. You know, like some preachers' kids like wear skirts of a certain length. Like, no, I can't wear booty shorts and short skirts just because you're a girl. Like, you can't do that. It had nothing to do with like God and all that. Like, there's just certain things that like you just shouldn't do. That's just kind of common sense. They ain't got to blame God as to why. You know, you just shouldn't. So I didn't have any of that. So it's always funny when I tell people like, oh, unless they grew up with me at church, people always like, oh my God, your dad's a minister? And I'm like, yeah, but like my rules was normal. I couldn't have boyfriends and all that stuff because I just couldn't. It had nothing to do with like God in particular. So I want to make sure that's clear. But this is the reason why I go to my dad, like I said, when I'm asking him stuff about the Bible and stuff that I'm hearing about on these influencer stuff. My dad's like, no, not listening to only worship music is nowhere in the Bible, things like that, right? And I asked that because like when I was little, my dad didn't listen to anything but sermons when I was a kid or whatever and stuff. So to be fair, you know, he's not someone who just be out here wilding. My dad doesn't even go out or anything. My dad doesn't even drink. So anyways, but he told me that wasn't true. I'm like, okay. I'm like, because there's all these things that I'm starting to get from the internet, from social media, that is starting to make me think that the way I operate with God is wrong versus making me think, that's good. I'm going to add that to my life to enhance my relationship with him. No, the way these Christian influencers got me thinking I'm doing something wrong. And I don't like that. Like, you're always supposed to make me feel better and more motivated, but you're never supposed to make me question or think that like what I'm doing is wrong. And the only reason I also don't like it is because me being a Christian my whole life, not only that, having a parent who is a minister, who has studied, you know, and ordained, the thing that helps is I have somebody to go to and ask like, hey, something is off. Not only that, me myself, like I said, I've grown up in church myself, in a healthy church at that too. Like, let's make that clear. I don't have any church religion trauma. So I want to make sure that's clear. Because I have such, probably the only healthy example of my life for real, like through and through, has been things in relation to God and church and things like that, and not experiencing people doing things in the name of God that were bad. I'm able to take a step back and be like, yeah, this ain't right. Something's weird. Let me ask some questions. But I can only imagine if I am as broken as I am in life, never really experiencing God for myself or church, or knowing or having examples in life about what God or church or being a Christian woman looks like, or a godly woman, we'll just use that word for everyone. I can only imagine what my life would like, how I would feel trying to find God. And we go to social media for everything, like tips, how you do your makeup, skincare, whatever, outfits. And I'm thinking I'm gonna come here for some stuff about God. And I'm seeing the way people operate and act like this is how their life is. Now, number one, I'm not going to say everyone is fake. That's not what I'm here to say. But just like everything on social media, you have to pick and choose. Some people are lying. Some people are telling the truth. But one thing I'll play about is God. So don't lie about what you're doing with God. That could end badly. Okay. That's number one. And number two, people can be doing that, but they're on a different part of their journey and they're no longer there. Which brings me to why I originally wanted to start talking about God. Not talking about God. Let me stop. I've talked about God before. Okay, let's get that straight. And that's what I was telling Janaea. I was like, I was nervous. Like, I don't want people think like all of a sudden she talking about God. Like, no, I'm not all of a sudden like talking about him. You just gotta, me and God, I talk about God like you do a friend, a relationship, a kid. If you have children, you're talking about your life, but your kid's gonna get brought up because they're part of your life. That's how me and God have always operated. I live my life. I talk about my life. God gets brought up. Why? Because God's a part of my life. Now it's even deeper because he's kind of like, think about like it's a bad example, but it's a true example, a situationship, right? you're not going to talk about that situationship straight up all the time or really open and like, right? Because you don't have that personal relationship with him. But the minute you have a relationship, you come locked in with someone. I'll even say the words intimate because me and God have been very intimate with my emotions, not like that way. When I got to that part of my life where me and God are, you're going to hear about him more because he's now at a higher level in my life. I feel like a lot of times God was always in the back, if I'm being like, you know what I'm saying? Like he was always there. He's a part of me. He's just something that you might not hear about as much. But now that me and him are in partnership and we're really locked in, you're going to hear about him more. But I was nervous about talking about him more and talking about him because of there's been this thing. I don't know if y'all have noticed a lot of influencers kind of like not clickbait. What is it? Monetizing God. That's what people have been saying. A lot of influencers kind of been monetizing God a lot lately. Let me not look like I'm a part of the wave. That's definitely not what it is. So that was number one. And then number two, I didn't want to come off like I'm shifting and now you can't relate to me. And I don't mean you can't relate to me as in I want to be, as some people say, of the world. I want to live a life that everyone can relate to. That's not what I'm saying. I want people to relate to me, like relate to Kennedy in the aspect of, wow, she's just like me. She's trying to change her life or whatever the case may be. But it's not like I'm above you or I'm someone that you can't relate. I promise I probably went through the same things you've gone through. And that's why I started all of my platforms, my TikTok, my podcast in particular, was about sharing my story and my life in general so that someone would never feel alone. I may not have that's why I'm not advice. I may not have the answers, the advice, the wisdom that you may like need from someone. But one thing you're going to get from coming to my podcast, any of my platforms, is something that is relatable. Because one thing for me is there's nothing that makes me feel a little bit better about my situation than like, wow, I'm not alone. Because when you go through something and you feel like it's just you start to think something's wrong with you. Like you're crazy. You start to feel bad. And if you're someone who struggles with mental health, like not legit voices. If you hear legit voices, go talk to somebody else. Okay. Go get help if you hear legit voices. But what I'm saying is those voices and those negative thoughts, what do you call them, thoughts, start to pop up and you start thinking it's you. And I never want that. So when it comes to whatever it is that I go through in life, I know I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one dealing with certain battles. So that's why I made my platform. And as I noticed like this year, my life is changing and shifting, not just like career wise with my sports content and things like that, but like with me as a person, how I feel about myself, what I stand up for now, like what I demand, the boundaries I'm setting with people and things like. And I noticed, I'm like, bro, who are you? You got a little different little swag. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, you know what? I think it's like when you and God kind of start getting more locked in. You know what I'm saying? And because I started changing and I couldn't tell people where it was, I said, hey, you need to document it because I see myself changing. And the last thing I want is to be a completely different person. And people are like, oh my God, Kennedy, you glow different. You shine different. Like you seem like you for real built different now. How'd you do it? And it come off like I'm gatekeeping because I can't tell you how I became the person that I am right now. And that's not it. So that's why I said on my last episode, I said, this is the perfect episode to discuss your relationship with God because it changed through everything I was going through as being a flight attendant. So that is why I wanted to do it then, because I was like, I don't want God to start changing me and really using me as a testimony, as a example of what he can do when you really lock in with him, like really lock in with God. And then all of a sudden I get to a better place. I can't remember or document to help somebody else. Like that's just not what I want. And I like that about everything, not just my relationship with God, but my fitness, my skincare, any issue I have, like I have like right now, like, oh, I have a couple dark spots. I want to document how I changed it. So if someone ever comes across like, hey, your skin's so good. I'm like, oh, actually, at once upon a time, I had hyperpigmentation. Oh, really? How'd you do it? Here's the video. You know what I'm saying? Like you go through so much in life, you start to forget how you did certain things. But I don't ever want to get to changes in my life and I forget who Kennedy is. Do you see what I'm saying? And like how I got to where I was. And all I've wanted like in my life was always like, if I went through it, I want it to mean something, and this is why it's called the locker room. It's supposed to be like a very like open and vulnerable place, a secure place, and somewhere that you gonna come and you're gonna listen. You're gonna know I'm gonna hear something this week from Kennedy, and I'm gonna relate to that. You know, you might cry like, dang, but at least I ain't gonna do that alone. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to do that because that's the work of like the person that God wants us to be. And like I've really come into this idea that like my actual calling is just sharing my life and sharing the lives of others to help other people. Like that's really what I've like come to realize. And I want to do that. Like I want to do that 1,000%. But I was nervous, and it was not nervous because I would be seen as like what people call like, oh, a Jesus freak, or I almost call myself a roly poly, a holy roly. Like, no, not that. I don't care if you see me talk about God, jump for God, be happy. But what I didn't want was you to come to my platform and think that I've now turned into in a negative way, a Christian influencer, to where all of a sudden I got rebaptized, I found God, and I'm just so locked in. I'm not the same person, and you can't relate to me. I'm on a different page than you. I done moved up. I'm better than you. I'm in a different journey. No. We're still in the same place. Oh, baby, trust me, we're still in the same place. Candy's still struggling. I'm still deciding if I'm done with the athletes or not. Oh, we still struggling. Okay. I'm in the place of like, I think I'm gonna be celibate. Ooh, but I do miss, a little interaction, Oh, listen, we go to the gym. Not even the gym, all day, every day. My music. I'm still listening to the same things. Like I'm still in it with you. I'm still in this battle, in this war with you. Still here. Okay. I know I was sometimes like, oh, coach, I'm a coach. I ain't a coach. I'm a captain of the team. I know a little bit. I got a little bit for you. I got a little bit of confidence. I got a little bit of hope to give to you, but I'm not on the sidelines. I'm not doing it anymore. Now I'm coaching you through it. I'm still in the field. I'm in this game still with you of life. Like I'm still down here with you. And I want you to know that. So when you hear me talk about God and things that he's done, the only thing I ask for you, just please listen and like listen with an open heart, because I promise you it can change, hopefully. And everything I say might not touch you. It's just like every sermon. Every sermon doesn't reach every person. So don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying. But really listen with an open heart and mind and think like, let's see, can it really change? Because I've started to notice changes in my life. But we're still going to talk about the same topics. Okay. We're still going to talk about, which I haven't really talked about sex, if I'm being honest. It's another topic. I come from a very like judgmental family, and like judgmental in the aspect of like, let me clear it up before they get mad. I come from a family of like kind of that old school, like you keep your private business private type vibe. But I feel like when you're supposed to be when you're being used by God and you're supposed to be someone who is supposed to use your life to show his other children, his other people that he created, that they're not alone, or help them get through things or a time that you once went through, you can't be private. You can't keep things private. And that's why like I came out about like my assault story and things like that in college. I can't be private. Like for what? That's not what I was called to do. I wasn't called to live in my private life, So that's why I've steered from a lot of it, which I do want to talk about, like needing to be more of myself on here. But we're going to talk about all of it still the nitty gritty, still the things that may not be of God's, like, oh, you're a Christian, but you don't like all that. Because of this one thing, don't let these, not even Christian influencers, Christians like this in real life, especially church people, don't let them think that they have never once done something that you've done that is not holy, okay? Or let them think that they've never been where you've been, or they don't do things, that they still don't sin, because that's what we also sin. And one thing that is different is God does not see he sees all sin the same. Although I don't think someone lying to their teacher about what happened to their homework and someone committing murder is the same level of sin. Kennedy doesn't, but guess what? That's not how God sees it. Okay, so we ain't gonna judge. He got his own little system up there that he want to operate with. That's fine. You go right ahead. But I think it's a difference in sin. I'm just kidding. But seriously though, don't let people, my point is, when it comes to God, don't let anyone that is a Christian or whatever the heck they practice make you feel bad or feel like they're better than you or something because your sin is different than theirs. Well, guess what? We all sinning, baby. Rather you lying, you stealing, you cheating, whatever, we all sinning. Okay. But I will say, like, don't be proud of your sin. No, like that's not what I'm not condoning that now. You can't be out here breaking up happy homes and stuff and happy about it. Like that's we not doing that. Okay. There's a difference, than people who feel bad for who they've been or what they've been. Like that's what I'm trying to say. Now you can't be out here boasting, and I don't say Kennedy. God said all the saying the same. I didn't say that you should be happy about sleeping with that person's husband or their boyfriend. That's not what I'm saying. But you may have had a phase or something where you did that. God forgives you. Okay. That's all Kennedy's saying. But I just want to make sure that one, you guys still knew that I was still relatable. Like I said, I'm still in the field with y'all. Sadly, we got a lot to talk about this season. Yes. That's one. And two, when you hear me talk about things like sex, that of course is clearly out of marriage because ain't no ring on my finger. Okay. Or things that I've done and be like, how's she talking about that? And now she be talking about God in the same episode or 2 seconds later about God. Because baby, God, I'm still working. You're never a finished product. Never in your life. I don't care if all you do 25/8 is something about God, baby. You ain't finished. Okay, get that straight. And I feel sorry for anybody who thinks that. You're going to always need them. So that's how it works. But like if you're from my YouTube and you watch my vlogs, best believe we in the car and we listen to our music. Baby, we got some Tasha Cobbs on there. Holy, you are Lord God. And the next, go on, back that ass up. You a fine motherfucker. Like, what? What are you talking about? When it's on shuffle, we're consuming it all. Like, let's not get it twisted. You gonna hear some house fires, and then you're gonna hear somebody talking about shooting up a house. Like, I'm just, that's bad. That is so bad. I'm sorry. I was just thinking about like my music that someone call gang banging. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, I don't condone drive-bys or whatever I just said. I don't condone that. But I'm just saying it's going to be always a vibe. Why? Because I'm a true Christian. I am a true person on earth that is working with God but still living his life. And it feels so good to say that because like y'all, it has really been eating me alive the past couple of weeks because I've wanted to talk about how my dating life has now changed. And it's not, and that's the thing for me, like it's kind of crazy. It's been like that. Me and Janae have been on this journey together. My dating life and all those things have not changed because God has said it in the Bible and it's a rule that someone told me that I'm not supposed to about something about my dating life. It's changed because the more I talk to God and tell him how I feel, he's shown me like, you know how you feel like that? Yeah, you feel that way because you're not supposed to do this or that, or because you're doing this, that's why you feel that way. And then I'm like, you really? Well, guess what, God? I don't want to really do that no more. I don't like the way that feels. God's not like I said, he's not like our parents where your parents tell you this is the rules. Well, why can't I do that? Because I said so. God don't operate like that. He gonna show you. You ask him, he's gonna show you why. And he's been showing me. So like my life's been changing and just like in all areas, like dating, sex, all those things. Why? Because God's been showing it to me. And I want y'all to like get that same clarity. It's not in anything that I don't do. Like Janae had pointed this out to me. I don't give her credit. She was saying like certain things, certain people can't do anymore because they do certain things. Like they do certain things for people. So for instance, like my dad said when I was little and he would only listen to like worship music and stuff. He was like, the reason he kind of stopped listening to secular, regular music, whatever you want to call it, he said was because he had just found Christ. He became a Christian because he was a Christian. He believed in God and all that before him and mom got married. But like he built his relationship with God and stuff and started his ministry like after he met my mom. He was saying, I was a newfound Christian. I was really kind of, getting into it. He said, so for me, listening to those music and stuff reminded him of like his old life. Whereas for Kennedy, it doesn't do that. Young boy and everything else, I'm blasting it. And the reason I bring up Young Boy is, y'all, my sister made fun of me this week because my playlist not playlist, like the Apple replay, right? Pun on the replay. Okay, anyways. Yo, it is 11:22 at night. I got work in the morning. I'm really wilding. Anyways, that it does it every year. Well, I went on there accidentally and saw like it still keeps track. You don't have to wait till the end of the year to see it. And as of right now, my top 5 artists, the first one is Maverick City. Okay, and listen, if Chandler Moore had his own like just category, he'd be number 1. But it's Maverick City, Young Boy, Drake, House Fires, and then like the girl Naomi. I don't know how to say her name. I don't know if I said it right. who sings Fire and Wind, come and do it again. She's in a song Promises that's on the Maverick City. She sings with Maverick City. Homegirl got her own spot on the chart. You feel me? But anyways, my sister goes, worship music to young boy is crazy. I'm like, that's just how I operate. You know what I'm saying? But the young boy has been number one for the past 3 years. But the reason that Maverick City and 3 out of 5 are worship music. Why is that? Because I'm one who I listen to worship music when I need to pray or talk to God or when things are bad. So things have been bad like all year long, as y'all heard from my last episode. So I listen to it a lot and I gravitate towards it when I need it. Like I listen to whatever it is, but those artists aren't 3 out of the 5 because someone told me I need to listen to worship music. No, baby, we do it because me and God feel it. We feel close when we listen to it. But that's just one thing to be clear about. Things that I want y'all to know, like things that I'm going to stop doing in my life, doesn't mean it's going to affect you or that it'll do things differently. And also like something like I was talking to my dad about, I was like, okay, Dad, so if someone's practicing sex before marriage, I couldn't even get it outright. That doesn't mean like, oh, I'm already doing a sin, so I shouldn't keep trying to get close to God because I ain't stopped doing that. And he's like, no, that's not how it works. So I want y'all to know, like, just because you're not doing one thing doesn't mean you shouldn't get close to God. That's not how it works. But people will make you feel that way. Social media is bad in general, but like one thing I don't play with is like Christ. But I'm going to read y'all now what Janaea has said. It's basically what I just said, but in case I missed anything, she was like, I would start off my podcast and say this. Hey, this is my testimony, my story. I grew up a Christian. My dad's a preacher, but I am now growing into my personal relationship with him, referring to God, not my dad. And he has a big impact, and I've had a lot of revelations, and my relationship has really grown. And I really want to share with you guys how my relationship has grown through my social media. However, I was very reluctant to because I didn't want to come off as those, no shade, Christian influencers that does no wrong. Everything is magically changed because they now have accepted Christ. I am still human. I still struggle in different areas of my life, but where I found God and things are different. Okay. I still listen to regular music. I still go out from time to time. I will have a drink. However, I just want to share what God has done in my life. And that's who God is. He is a come as you are God. Come how you are. That's the point. Not once I get it all together, then I'll share my relationship with God and my experiences to others. No, that's not how it works. And like when she said that is really important because that's when I said that's why I started my platform. Not only my platforms, but started talking about him a little bit more in like a personal way. And like not tips, but like the way that me and him have gotten better, because I've noticed the changes and I noticed like I wasn't remembering them. And I want to document them so that way others could get help whenever you want it. You don't have to listen, like you don't have to do it right now. I would hope you would, but you don't have to. Whenever you are ready and you and God are at that place, like let's be for real. I just said I've been in church all my life. And now I'm 26 and me and him really getting locked in. You see what I'm saying? So, but whenever you're ready, you can always come back to points in Kennedy's life and be like, what did she say about this or that? So I want to share, like I said, I want to share them. So in my vlogs, like you'll see like when I do like, my nightly journal to him, different things like that. But my content ain't changing because I still feel like as a person that is one of God's people who is a very sinful person, sorry to say it, but I am, okay? I need to share every part of my life because you need to see it. And one of the things I heard, let me not say that because I heard God tell me. I did though. It's just this weird feeling. We'll talk about it later. Like you'll feel it. You'll be like, dang, I felt good. I'll read it to y'all in regards to this. The community, someone has said this and this will like made me like really be like, dang, you right. It said the community and the platform that God has given you is because of your authenticity and your vulnerability. And that's not a liability. And I was like, dang, that is so right. Because me being vulnerable and being authentic on platforms with my life is honestly, I think, that's why God has like helped me grow my platforms, because in whatever area it is, rather it's about football and sports or it's about dating athletes or dating in general, but dating athletes, or just who I am as a person, my mental health, my trauma, because he knows that like I could possibly help a lot of people, right? That's why God gives me this platform and lets it keep growing, even when I fall off, even when I don't post. That's why. Because God's like, no, I know you're not where you need to be. You ain't being consistent, but I need people to hear what I can do. I need my people to, feel better. And like I've said in my first, like in my intro episode, like I'm the oldest. I don't have older siblings, and out of my cousins, like we don't have any peer cousins that are our peers. Me and my siblings like our age. My sister has a few, but like me and my brother don't. So I didn't grow up like with able to ask people, questions about things, especially if it's something like, for instance, say sex. That's, if we don't keep saying that word today, sex, 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 sex. But no, for real, that's one that like you don't talk about. Okay, like what? Why? You don't have sex out of marriage. It's like Mean Girls. Is alcohol in this? What? No, honey. What kind of mother do you think I am? Why do you want a little bit? I'd rather you do it in the house. Like, it's not like that. It's like, no, why would you be talking about that? Like, it's not. So I always want to be like that person on here that out here that you're able to like know, like, dang, I did that and that was bad. Let's not try that because Kennedy did it and it went terrible. So I'm gonna speak on my vulnerability in a second, but the next thing I heard was I was listening to the Know For Sure podcast, episode 80 in particular. Let me just say that. And the guy Tim that was on there, he was just saying like Jesus's target audience was the lost sheep of Israel. That is who God speaks to and who he's coming for. He's not coming for anyone else. He's like, the Pharisees were there and listening and nitpicking everything. They were the people who like think they knew everything about God and everything. And every time Jesus said something, well, God in the Bible said this. Like, they're like real, like the Christian people I'm talking about today. Okay. The guy Tim was saying there will always be an audience, referring to like real life for us and my platform, and like referring to the Pharisees that will always be listening. Jesus is talking to the sick. He's not talking to the ones who think they're well. And like when he said that, and then the part up top about the community part in the platform, those are both from the guy Tim. I heard God talking to me. This was on Monday, and I was like, dang, like that's really the answer. I've been wrestling with it for weeks, talking to my dad and Janae about it for days, and it really stuck with me. Like, y'all, some of y'all out here, if you are not where I'm at, you don't like it, you think I should just cold turkey everything in my life. First of all, some of y'all not even doing stuff like I said, like listening to only worship music that ain't even in the Bible. Okay, so some of y'all not doing things that are in the Bible, but that's not what we're here to talk about. I don't care what you do. Listen, you think you know it, go ahead. But the people who think that they're living their right life the correct way, I don't need you. That was the point of me trying to give my background why I said I'm new to this, not true to this. Okay. The thing is, I'm not speaking to you then. If you so good, you're so well, I'm not speaking to you. I'm speaking to the other people who are sick, who are hurting, who are going through real life stuff, okay? Who are not living, none of us live a perfect life, but some of us like to act like we are. There's some of us like me who are very honest, who are a hot mess and struggling, okay? That's who I'm talking to. People who are like-minded of me, okay? And that just made me think about it because, like I said, I didn't want to talk about it because I didn't want to hear the Christian people commenting and telling me what I need to do about God. I didn't want my normal audience to be like, never mind, we can't relate to her. She done found God. Like, what? Girl, I always found the Lord. I've been a hot mess finding him this whole time. But I didn't want either one of those things. I felt God like really answering to me about that part, about Christians, people in general, but like in this topic in particular, Christians are always constantly going to be trying to tell you this or that. You're not speaking to them, so ignore them. Speak to the ones who are for you, who like how Jesus did. Jesus didn't come to down here and talk to the people who knew what they were doing. So I just kind of wanted to say that those things really stuck with me. And then going into the part about the authenticity and vulnerability, what I was referring to, and I was like, yeah, well, I kind of come from a judgmental family. Like when I said that, like I struggle being honest on my platforms, especially TikTok recently. A lot of my family, since I got the NFL partnership and I've been getting a lot of different deals, they've been following my social media. I'm like, oh God. TikTok is my number one safe place. My podcast is number 2, but that TikTok, girl, I mean, I don't do anything that's bad or nothing like that, but like I like to be able to talk about the things whatever I want, and I've gotten to a place where I've toned down on being who I am on social media, which is actually what grew my social media. I grew my presence after I came out about my assault story. Y'all remember the Bad Romance Challenge back in 2020? I did that. That's when I blew up. And then after that, the momentum, I only got like 4,000 followers off that. My momentum built up when I started talking about like making the TikTok trends about athletes. Blew up some more. Then I did the sports for the girls, blew up some more. So it's like, but the areas that I grew were all off of me being real and being vulnerable and being authentic and being myself, right? And I've stopped that for years because of fear of when other people find my accounts. And like issues. Back in 2021, I didn't care. There were issues, I've spoken about it before, with family that I came out about my assault story. Did not care then, don't care now. Like, what are you talking about? God gave me this story to tell. He didn't do it. That's all I'm saying. But I'm not saying God caused my assaults. That's all I'm saying. But like, he gave me this voice. I want to use it. Anyways, so since those years, I've really toned it down. 2021, I was on fire. And I've toned it a lot down. Not because it's something like how I've spoke about, like things will change in my life because of God. No one told me. It was the negative thoughts. And I feel like the negative thoughts that I was having, voices, I feel like I got to get back to being me, being real, being authentic, talking about real life. My content and stuff isn't going to grow if I'm talking about some things that are still authentic, but I'm not fully blown talking to y'all about like, bro, this man's been making me feel this way. I need to stop. This is why, I got to be real with y'all and tell y'all about what's really going on, because that's how I'm going to grow. And I'm not worried about the Pharisees. And in this aspect, my family or people I grew up with, whatever. I'm not here to speak to them. Just don't listen, don't subscribe, don't follow. Okay. But I am speaking to people who are going through things like me. And I'm not going to be able to help them if I'm constantly dimming my light, So when I heard that about your authenticity, when the guy Tim said that your authenticity and vulnerability is why God's giving you this community and platform, and it's not a liability, was all I needed to hear. And I was like, God, I hear you. And it's just been eating at me since then. That was Monday and for days. And so I was like, I need to be honest and not my okay, well, if you are watching this, I knew this was gonna happen. The camera died. Let's pull the camera up on my laptop. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back with, why didn't you tell me I was on here? I had no chapstick, no lip gloss, no. Like, be for real. Anyways, I want y'all to still see my face. So now we're using my, what's this called? My webcam. As for my Canon G7X, I need to get a new battery because that battery dies too quick. Now, granted, I have not charged it in days, so that does have to do with me. I'm pretty good about it. But anyways, this was like a spontaneous episode. I just like, I need to get it out there and speak my truth. Okay, anyways. Which is why I have no makeup on or nothing, no lashes, nothing. What I came to say was, I feel that's why my content has stopped growing, because I have not been authentic and real at all, y'all. Not that anything I've put out is fake. That's not what I'm saying. But like, I've got to a point where I was only talking about sports content, and I was nervous. Like, I got the NFL deal in Oakley and different deals, and I'm like, but if they don't want me for real, girl, that content's on there, and they saw all of it, still wanted to work with you. They don't care. So, like I said, I don't promote anything bad or nothing like that. That's not it. I don't promote cleat chasing, none of that. But I will say, like, I've just stopped being me a lot on social media. And I think that's why my content is stagnant. I just kind of heard, like, I've been complaining to God about it. Like, why is my content not growing? And I really hear him telling me that's why. Me not being real, me not being just the girl that I was back in 2021. Man, she was broken, but like, that was raw Kennedy. So I heard those things this week. And like I was saying, like, you talk to God about things, and then you hear things and you get this feeling, y'all. You'll feel it. You'll be like, dang, was that your answer? Oh, that was your answer, huh? Okay, I heard you. I got you. So I want to get into, like I said, being more of myself and talking about things so my podcast can grow. We got to talk about the crazy things I've done and everything, and getting back to those topics and not caring who sees what sees. And because I do struggle with that, that is something I will just pray to God about and be like, hey, sir, I'm really struggling. Please help me not be nervous, afraid to put out what I want to put out. And that's the thing too. Now I pray to God over all my content. So to anyone that has an issue, me and God already done had a discussion. He cool with it. We good. We locked in. But I need to pray to him about, hey, help me not care. Help me be real. Help me show up as authentic. And that's what I want to get back to. is being my true authentic self. Why did I say that? That came from something and I don't remember where. I really hope that this gave you an idea and understanding of where I'm coming from, knowing and comfort like I'm still going to be me, but actually I'm going to be a better me because I'm going to add value again in my content, in relatability. So you don't have to do everything that I do. I'm like that about everything. It's an a la carte life, honey. You don't have to do everything that Kennedy does, but I'll do my best to give you an idea of why I now no longer do anything. And it has to do with me and how I feel. And I want you to feel the same way. I honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I feel so much better now after this episode. I feel like a weight is lifted off to me, off of me. Oh my God. A weight is lifted off of me. I feel so much better. I feel so much lighter right now. And I'm so ready to really get started and just show up being who I'm supposed to be. Like, really be the creator. Like, I see so many things changing in my life, like in a positive way. Like, I see myself really growing in my content. I'm going to start interviewing athletes now and talking to them about their lifestyle and how they do things. I feel like they're some of the most mentally tough people ever. And because they deal with so much, like, I'm just so excited for where God is, how he's going to use me, y'all. Like, I love that man. From now on, that's probably going to be the only man y'all hear me say that I love for a very long time. Okay. But I really hope that you guys will enjoy. Please share, please subscribe or follow. I don't remember the exact word it is for podcast. Share the podcast. Always feel free to DM if you're watching it on YouTube. Comment anything that like you want to say that's not negative. I will see you guys in the next one. I'm gonna be back and I'm ready to be better. I feel like God's ready to launch KB 2.0. Be sure to follow the Instagram at Casey Locker Room Talk. I want to be more active on there. And I'll talk to you guys later. I love you guys so much. We're going to get through this, rookies. We got some new merch coming too, but that's another topic. Okay, bye, guys.